Hey everybody, Stan Efferding here, the founder of the Vertical Diet. I figured now that I'm 50, I should slowly transition away from the nicknames I acquired during my rather lengthy midlife crisis and finally settle into my role as just dad or coach. So it's time for another 10 Talk while I take my 10-minute walk. Thanks for keeping me company. Now today I'd like to talk about another topic that I've had a lot of experience with, both personally and with my clients, and that's high blood pressure. There's certainly many health-related issues that people should pay attention to, but fewer are more important and more immediate and more easily remedied for most people than high blood pressure. I've received hundreds of testimonials from users of the Vertical Diet who have dramatically decreased their blood pressure. Some of you may have seen the video series I did with Mark Bell, where we brought his blood pressure down from 196/95 to 120/80 in a very short period of time. Now, I've also posted many of these testimonials on my Instagram. Now, the reasons for this are manyfold, and it's important to note that a multifaceted approach will always be the most successful. No one thing will fix the problem. Certainly not taking a pill, which in most cases only serves to dehydrate you and doesn't address the cause of the problem. Now, that's why I want to discuss the high blood pressure quick fix kit that I use with my clients. Now, it would be irresponsible of me not to start by saying that the single most effective factor in reducing blood pressure is weight loss. Now, I understand that's not something you can do today, but you can certainly get started by improving your diet and taking the 10-minute walks after meals, as I've laid out in my Vertical Diet. Now, that having been said, I have many clients who do not wish to lose weight, such as competitive strongmen, powerlifters, football players, and bodybuilders. It's also important to point out that high blood pressure is not always weight related. So for both of these groups, here's a list of the top 5 things you can do today that will reduce your blood pressure immediately. Number 1 is sleep. Now, I know I keep beating this drum, but lack of sleep is a major contributor to high blood pressure, particularly sleep loss due to sleep apnea. So if you snore or wake up tired, get a CPAP. And if you're just not sleeping enough, make it a priority to sleep more. I include a sleep hygiene protocol and additional research in my Vertical Diet, as well as in my rants on the importance of sleep. Now, number 2 is potassium. Potassium is important for relaxing the blood vessels. You should be consuming 4,700 milligrams of potassium every day. This is why I include plenty of spinach in my diets, along with a daily potato, daily fruit, salmon, and a dairy source. The vast majority of people are getting less than half the necessary potassium daily. This is huge, an absolute deal breaker for high blood pressure, which also provides important cardiovascular benefits for athletes and prevents cramping. Now, one of the strongest powerlifters on the planet is Blaine Sumner. He blends 2 cups of spinach into 2 drinks daily. My wife adds 2 cups of spinach to 4 ounces of orange juice and blends it with ice and drinks it with a meal. It's delicious. But for those who have trouble digesting the oxalates in raw spinach, then steam it or cook it in a little beef tallow, bone broth, and pink salt. That's the way my Vertical Diet meal prep company prepares it for you in our country scramble and in our deluxe monster mash. Now, remember to always eat your vegetables with some proteins and fats. The protein stimulates gastric acid and lowers the stomach pH, so the minerals are better absorbed. And the fats are necessary to shuttle those minerals into cells. And that brings us to number 3, magnesium. Another critical element that plays a huge role in regulating blood pressure by relaxing the blood vessels and transporting potassium and calcium. Now, once again, in addition to potassium, spinach is a magnesium powerhouse, along with sprouted almonds, some yogurt, and sugar-free dark chocolate or cacao powder, which is my 88-year-old dad's favorite drink. His blood pressure is excellent and he's on no medications. Number 4, calcium. Now, calcium helps contract and relax the blood vessels as needed. Spinach has calcium, but dairy is a more absorbable form, which is why I include dairy in the vertical diet. If Greek yogurt doesn't sit well with you, then try aged hard cheese like Tillamook cheddar. And don't forget that vitamin D3 drastically improves calcium absorption by as much as 20-fold. And of course we can't talk about calcium without mentioning vitamin K2, which helps decalcify the arteries and prevent calcium deposition in soft tissues. Vitamin K2 is found in egg yolks and grass-fed dairy, such as butter and cheese. I eat 4 eggs daily. Now, most egg allergies are caused by avidin in egg whites, so try the yolks if whole eggs don't agree with you. And finally, that brings us to number 5, low thyroid. And this could just as easily have been number 1. Hypothyroidism has a huge effect on blood pressure. I attached a study that found a 20-point systolic blood pressure rise in hypothyroidism. To put that in perspective, sodium restriction may realize a 2 to 5 point decrease in systolic blood pressure. Proper thyroid function is critical for blood pressure regulation. This is why I include iodine in the vertical diet in the form of pure cranberry juice, along with daily fruit to optimize liver function, where 80% of thyroid is converted. Sleep also plays a big role in thyroid function. Now, I could spend an hour discussing thyroid function and diet-related inflammation and autoimmune problems. But for the Reader's Digest version of this 10 Talk, I have to mention that consuming polyunsaturated fats can increase inflammation and slow thyroid function. Now, farmers feed animals soy and processed vegetable oils to slow their thyroid and increase estrogen in order to fatten their animals. So it's important to avoid these foods. Now, I know it seems remiss of me not to include sodium reduction as part of my quick fix kit, but the science simply doesn't support sodium restriction for blood pressure control for the vast majority of people. Dr. D. Nicolantonio's book, The Salt Fix, covers this research in great detail. And I've attached the most recent and most comprehensive study on sodium intake, called the PURE study, which demonstrates that over-restricting salt actually increases all-cause mortality. 3 to 6 grams of sodium a day appears to be the healthy range, which is consistent with the recommendation I made 2 years ago before the PURE study was complete in my salt rant titled "Creatine Sucks, But This Works." And I'll also attach Dr. McCarran's study, published over 20 years ago, demonstrating that when adults meet or exceed the recommended dietary allowances of calcium, potassium, and magnesium, the ingestion of a diet high in sodium chloride is not associated with elevated arterial pressure. In fact, a higher sodium chloride intake in these adults is most likely associated with the lowest blood pressure in society. Now, one of the many reasons adequate salt intake is important is for proper digestion and absorption of these important minerals. Salt is sodium chloride, as in hydrochloric acid. Over-restriction of salt impairs digestion. Now, some doctors prescribe medications for high blood pressure, which are often diuretics. Diuretics dehydrate you and deplete potassium and magnesium from the body. So if you take these, it's even more important for you to get more of these nutrients in your diet and to work with your doctor to reduce or eliminate these drugs as the diet improves your blood pressure. Now, some health professionals often recommend taking supplements such as omega-3s, turmeric, or over-the-counter drugs such as aspirin. All of these are blood thinners, so if you choose to supplement with these, you shouldn't combine them. I prefer wild-caught salmon and cod liver oil over omega-3 supplements, which is another rant altogether. But either way, you'll still want to get adequate minerals from foods in your diet. Medicines and supplements only serve to mask or relieve the symptoms and do not address the underlying cause. If you have high blood pressure, I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to implement all of these tips immediately. You are a ticking time bomb. Your wife and kids are depending on you. Do these 5 things today and be sure to let me know the results. DM me on Instagram @StanEfferding or email me stanefferding@yahoo.com. Well, I'm nearing the end of my walk and my 10 Talk. Be sure to check out my vertical diet meal prep at theverticaldiet.com. Budget meals are now available. So is my deluxe monster mash with grass-fed bison, bone broth, rice, spinach, and peppers cooked in beef tallow. Pick up my 8-meal sampler pack for $85, and nationwide shipping is always free. Thanks again for listening.